Welcome to the Motivated Mind Zone. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories. Slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey. And welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something pretty common but often frustrating for English learners. How to really finally fix those grammar mistakes that just seem to hang around.
Right. And we're doing it a bit differently this time. Our sources aren't your standard grammar books. Instead, we're diving into a story, a narrative following one learner's journey. Her name's Emma.
Yeah, and that's what I think makes this so interesting. It gives us these really practical, sort of real-world insights. You get those aha moments from seeing someone actually work through the problem.
It's a totally different angle than just, reading rules.
Definitely. Shows the process, the human side of it all, how someone moved from, feeling stuck to actually succeeding.
It really does. It's less about just listing rules and more about seeing how she applied things, how she changed her approach.
Okay, so our mission here is to pull out the key takeaways, the really actionable stuff from Emma's story. Things that you, listening right now, can maybe use to tackle your own grammar hurdles, build up that confidence, and maybe even see mistakes differently.
Yeah, because her story shows this huge transformation. She starts off feeling, kind of embarrassed and fearful about her errors, but she ends up confident, even helping other people.
So what can we learn from a personal journey about something as seemingly dry as grammar? Let's find out.
Okay, so where does Emma start? The sources paint her as, well, bright, capable, lots of ideas.
But held back by her English grammar.
Exactly. She could communicate, people understood her generally, but these specific grammar points kept tripping her up. Things like mixing up verb tenses, getting articles wrong, or basic subject-verb agreement.
Yeah, the sources give examples like, she go to office yesterday, or maybe he have many works.
Those little errors that are so common and honestly really hard to shake sometimes.
They really are.
And the interesting part is she often knew they were mistakes. Like intellectually, she understood the rule.
But they'd still pop out when she was speaking naturally.
Right, which just shows that knowing a rule in your head is, well, it's different from actually using it automatically, instinctively.
So she felt this frustration, like her grammar was a barrier. And then came a trigger moment, right? A job interview.
Yep, a big one. An interview for a marketing agency, all in English, high stakes.
And that pressure just brought all her grammar anxieties right to the surface.
It really did. The source mentions this key moment just before she went in. She's texting with a friend, getting some last-minute encouragement.
And the friend says something like, speak slowly, stay calm, and if you make a mistake, just fix it confidently.
Simple advice. And Emma types back, thank you, I will doing my best.
But she catches it.
Yes. She pauses, looks at it, thinks, hang on, I will doing. And she corrects it, changes it to, I will do my best.
And sends that instead. That little self-correction, it's described as this sort of quiet win for her.
It really was. And that's where we see this core idea emerging from her journey. It wasn't about suddenly mastering all the rules overnight.
No, it was about realizing that improvement starts with just paying attention, being present when you're speaking or writing.
That awareness, kind of sparked by the interview pressure, that was the turning point. And she started using that focus right away. Like on the train journey there, she's reviewing rules. She often messes up subject-verb agreement, tenses.
Just focusing her mind?
Exactly. And then in the interview, she almost slips up again. Starts to say, I'm excited to hear, but catches herself, smoothly changes it to, I'm excited to be here.
And one of the interviewers actually noticed.
Yeah. Apparently, they said something like, I like how you fix your own grammar. It shows you're always learning.
Wow. So the mistake itself wasn't the problem. It was her response to it.
Yeah.
Self-correction actually made a good impression.
Precisely. It showed she had a growth mindset, not that she was perfect,
Yeah.
and that willingness to learn, well, that's gold. And, spoiler alert, she got the job.
Fantastic. Not because she was flawless, but because she showed she was committed.
Exactly. So the interview was the spark. But what did she do next? How did she build on that realization about paying attention? This leads us to the notebook of mistakes.
Ah, yes, the notebook. This sounds key.
It was a huge shift. Instead of seeing errors as, failures or reasons to feel bad.
She started seeing them as learning tools.
Mm-hmm.
Signposts, the source calls them.
Each mistake had a message, so she started writing them down, but not just correcting them.
Right, she analyzed them. She'd write the wrong sentence, then the right one, and then crucially the reason why.
Exactly. So take that earlier example. Doing my best. Wrong, I will do my best. Correct. Why? Because will needs the base form of the verb after it.
Or like, she have a strong opinion becomes, she has a strong opinion. Why? Because for he, she, it, use, has.
And another really common one, I am agree with your idea.
Oh yeah, hear that a lot.
Right. Corrected to, I agree with your idea. Why? Because agree is the verb itself. You don't need am like you would with an adjective like I am happy.
Okay, so by digging into the why, she wasn't just passively collecting errors, she was actively engaging with them.
She was personalizing her learning. It wasn't abstract rules anymore. It was about her specific patterns, her language.
And did she notice patterns?
Absolutely. She saw that a lot of her mistakes came from translating directly from Spanish, her native language. Her brain was just defaulting to those structures.
Ah, that makes sense. The L1 interference. So it wasn't always a lack of knowledge. Sometimes it was just habit.
Exactly. And identifying that root cause is the first step to consciously changing the habit. She even organized the notebook by error type, articles here, prepositions there, verb tenses.
Smart, breaking it down.
And she had a section for funny mistakes, too, which I thought was great. Just adds that touch of self-kindness, Makes it less scary.
Yeah, being able to laugh at yourself definitely helps lower the stakes.
For sure. And the source sums up this whole notebook phase with a really powerful line. Mistakes are not failures. They are bridges to better English.
That really reframes the whole experience, doesn't it? Turns errors from something to dread into, well, necessary steps.
Completely. So, armed with this new mindset, mistakes as teachers, what did she actually do? What were her strategies?
Okay, let's get practical. The sources lay out a few key methods she developed. First one, listen carefully.
Really focusing on how native or fluent speakers actually use the language, not just passively hearing, but actively noticing patterns.
So like hearing he doesn't like coffee again and again helps that pattern sink in, maybe more naturally than just memorizing this rule.
Exactly. It connects the rule to the rhythm and sound of natural English. Okay, second strategy, slow down when speaking.
Seems simple, but probably makes a big difference.
Huge. Just giving yourself that tiny bit of extra processing time to think, maybe catch an error before it comes out.
Like hitting a little internal pause button. The source mentions a mantra, right?
Yeah. Pause. Think. Speak. It just creates that space for self-monitoring and self-correction, which leads right into number 3, correct yourself immediately.
Okay, so when you notice the mistake, fix it. Right then and there.
Yep. If she said she don't like pizza, she'd immediately follow up with, she doesn't like pizza.
Yeah, and that reinforces the correct version in your brain.
Exactly. Strengthens that memory trace. And, like we saw with the interview, it also builds confidence. It shows you're paying attention.
Okay. Strategy 4, use visual aids.
Right. Grammar can be really abstract, so making simple charts or tables.
Like for verb tenses or when to use a versus the.
Precisely. Turning those abstract rules into something visual, something concrete, can make them much easier to grasp and remember.
Makes sense. And the fifth strategy.
Practice with real sentences. Basically, apply the grammar you're learning in actual communication.
Not just doing textbook exercises.
Right. Using it in emails, messages, maybe keeping a journal like Emma did. Writing about your day, deliberately trying to use the grammar point you're focusing on, that makes it functional, makes it stick.
So these strategies, they sound straightforward, but used together consistently with that mindset shift.
They were transformative for her. They moved her from just passively knowing some rules to actively using English more accurately and confidently correcting herself when she slipped up.
And then came the real test, the big presentation mentioned in the source.
Another high-pressure situation, the kind that used to really trigger her grammar anxiety.
But this time was different.
Yeah, she prepared like crazy, used all her strategies, wrote it out, read it aloud, recorded herself.
Listened back to catch errors.
Yep, and got feedback from a grammar group she'd joined. She faced the fear, but she was armed with preparation and that core belief. Mistakes are okay, they're part of it.
And did she make any mistakes during the presentation?
She did. There was this moment, mid-sentence, where she says, we are proud.
Ah. And how did she handle it?
Corrected it smoothly, calmly, didn't get flustered, just carried on.
That's fantastic. It perfectly illustrates that point about confidence, doesn't it? It's not about being perfect.
Exactly. It's about having the tools and the mindset to handle imperfections gracefully. Confidence comes from the practice, the stumbling, the correcting, not from achieving flawless grammar overnight.
And succeeding with that presentation, that must have been a huge boost. Did it change things for her beyond her own learning?
It really seemed to. The focus shifted outwards. She started volunteering at a community center, helping other language learners.
Oh, interesting. So she started sharing what worked for her.
And crucially, she didn't just teach rules from a book. She shared her story, her struggles, the notebook, the strategies. That authenticity really connected with people going through the same thing.
I can imagine. Hearing from someone who's been there makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. It builds community, makes people feel less alone with their mistakes. And the source suggests this experience really cemented her path. She decided she wanted to become a teacher properly, bringing that empathy and understanding she'd gained.
Which brings us back to that foundational idea woven through the whole story. The mindset shift.
Yes, it really is the bedrock. It's not just about the grammar rules, though they matter. It's about how you approach learning itself. Embracing mistakes as, well, normal, necessary even.
That line again. Mistakes are not my enemies. They are my teachers.
It changes everything emotionally. Errors stop being shameful and start being useful data. They show you exactly what needs work. There's that little anecdote later in her journey. She still makes a mistake sometimes. Says something like, I have went to the store yesterday.
Even after all that progress.
Yeah. But the key is her reaction. She apparently just laughs, corrects herself. Oops, I went to the store, and moves on. No big deal.
That's so important. It shows learning is ongoing. Perfection isn't the goal. And it's okay to slip up, even when you're fluent.
Totally. The whole journey described is really about courage. Courage to speak up, knowing you might err. It's about patience, being kind to yourself, and just sticking with it. It's about becoming a better communicator, not a perfect one.
And the story goes on to show how this journey impacted others too, right? Co-hosting events, becoming a teacher, starting her own blog or channel called Mistakes Made Me Fluent.
Her personal struggle and how she overcame it turned into this resource for so many other people. It just underlines how embracing your imperfections and learning from them can lead you down some really unexpected, rewarding roads. Her openness was key.
Okay, so let's boil this down. What are the absolute core messages from Emma's deep dive into fixing her grammar?
I think first, real fixes come from paying attention, actively noticing your language. Second, mistakes aren't failures, they're opportunities, they're teachers pointing the way.
Right. And consistent practice is vital, but it has to be the right kind of practice. Using strategies like listening carefully, slowing down, self-correcting immediately in real situations.
And underpinning all of that is the mindset. Seeing errors with curiosity, not judgment. Treating it as a continuous journey, not a destination you fail to reach.
So for you listening, you can absolutely apply these ideas. Start by noticing your patterns. When you make a mistake, don't just get frustrated. Ask why. Let that guide your learning. Try simple things. Pause before you speak. Really listen to English around you.
That consistent effort, plus changing how you feel about mistakes, can make a huge difference. It can speed up your progress, definitely boost your confidence, and honestly make the whole process feel a lot less daunting and more positive.
So here's a final thought to chew on. Drawing directly from Emma's experience described in our sources, her journey shows that improving grammar isn't solely a technical exercise. It seems deeply connected to building courage, the courage to put yourself out there, make those mistakes, fix them, and find your voice. So maybe ask yourself, what does your willingness, or perhaps reluctance, to embrace your grammar mistakes reveal about your own courage and your unique path in learning English?
Mm-hmm. Something to think about. Every attempt, every correction, it's all part of building that courage step by step.